All right, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is Toni Vanschoyck. This is our inaugural kickoff to the Women's Wealth Resurrection, or the WWR. It's been something that I've been thinking about for the past year. Melissa and I just happened to meet each other here locally in the area of Charleston back over the summer. It took us time to get to know each other, and we have decided that this is where we need to be. And I want to tell you what led me into this, and then I'll give you a little bit of information about my background. I am in 3 different masterminds, and they're pretty high end, and they're 95% men. So my whole, question to this, and I had discussed this on one of actually, it's my favorite mastermind that I'm in with a fellow named Mark Evans. He has a coaching group called the DM Alliance, and he is a huge real estate and deal maker. That's what DM stands for. I am one of 5 women in a group of 102. So what prompted me when I joined his group last year, what prompted me to question and why I could not find more women masterminds around there. And this is not just, we're going to have an area for women that are at different income levels, because we deal with different problems. But the whole primary, process of this was to start something to give women resources, and there isn't a lot out there. So I will tell you, and that's what's going to lead me into sharing where my background is. I have been an entrepreneur ever since I was in my late 20s. I did the college thing. I put myself through school by slinging drinks. I ran a very large restaurant chain for many years. Then I started having a family. I didn't want to do that anymore. And so I started my own brick and mortars. I had 2 of them. They were pretty damn successful until the divorce happened. And then if you guys have ever been through a divorce, you'll know that you kind of don't, if your identity is tied up into your businesses that you have with your spouse, you kind of lose that identity. I think a lot of women do that, go through divorce regardless. So be that as it may, very important lesson learned is that, I truly believe that we need to have resources, and especially when it comes to women needing to have something of their own. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I learned through very, very hard lessons, through many failed business opportunities, through many mistakes, through, you guys, I've made mistakes. So we launched a business back in 2014. It scaled very quickly. It's now a $3 billion brand, and we're only sold in 9 countries. So I learned a lot of lessons along the way. And then throughout this, I started other businesses. We're about to launch our 7th business. Out of those 7, 3 of them are residual income businesses, where you build it once and it's always there, and it's going to make you money when you sleep. So we launched a CRM, which I call it the customer relationship motivator, not the customer relationship manager, because it's really about building your business and having resources, right? So we did that. We launched that a year ago. I've written 3 best-selling books. I speak on stages all over the United States. I have yet to go international, hoping that's happening in June. But that's where we are. So here's what I wanted to help women do, not only being able to kick the W-2 to the curb, because it's part of the slavery system, is to help women really discover what they were put here to do and how to capitalize and become not an employee, not an employer, but an entrepreneur. There's a fundamental difference between employer and entrepreneur. So really taking my resources, my lessons, and surrounding ourselves with other successful women that have been through some very hard knocks lessons, and they have a different skill set than I do, because I can't do everything. So Melissa was one of those people. We have 2 other amazing, or actually 3 other amazing women. We partnered with Alice Emerson. She's a divorce coach. She's amazing. We partnered with Julie Dawkins. She also is one of Melissa's business partners, who is phenomenal. And Becca Epstein, who is a business attorney. and she is a massive rock star. So we are still currently looking for it, and these have to be female, a female CPA that really knows, and I don't want to call them loopholes because they're not loopholes. It's the law, right? That really knows on, you know, how we can invest our money instead of paying taxes on capital gains and, you know, all different things. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an attorney. I just have studied this for a really long time, and I've made over $1 million in mistakes. So I think I have a little bit of credibility back there to share with you of what not to do, especially, you know, when you are, you know, doing that, wearing that entrepreneur hat. And a lot of times you're wearing that entrepreneur hat while you're having a full-time job. So we created this, really super proud of what we've put together over the last, and you guys, I'm a person that doesn't wait for perfection. I see an idea and I am going to do it. I'm going to run with it. I have big goals for this group for this year. And, you know, 2 of the other businesses that we're launching, also in 2023. So I'm just really excited to share my knowledge with you and all of these other amazing women that we're working with so far. And there will be more to come. This is going to be a resource group, right? We're going to have an opportunity to feature an entrepreneur of the week. We're going to have opportunities for you guys to ask questions and to address, you know, challenges that you're having, because being an entrepreneur, they are the biggest challenges in the world, but they're the most rewarding. So I've done enough talking, and I'm going to turn it over to one of my partners, Melissa Harris. She's amazing. She does what, and bless it. I mean, I found this investment opportunity last year, and she works with people, really helping them, figuring out a spending plan. She works with infinite banking. And if you guys drop a 1 in the comment, if you've ever heard of infinite banking, or a 2 if you haven't, because most of you have not. So it's one of those like secrets that we've got to get out for people to understand. So Melissa, take it over.
Yes, thank you so much, Toni, for kicking it off and for that great introduction. Perfection is overrated. And listen, I'm going to tell you, anybody, there's going to be a lot of ladies on here, I'm sure, that already know Toni. If she's speaking about business, I'm going to turn my listening ears on, because she has seen a lot of success. And so what we are trying to put together here is going to be bringing all of the resources and tools and the right people to you. Right. So the biggest thing about this, and I'm so proud of everybody who's on tonight, because you are taking that first step in kind of figuring out what the next action steps are for you, right? To find success, no matter what it is, whether it's growing your business, whether it's scaling your business, whether it's starting a business and leaving the 9-to-5, or just figuring out all of the things that we're going to be bringing to the table and how it's all going to fit together. So I love that. So thank you for having me be part of that as well. So just a little about me. My background is corporate America. I know some of you are probably cringing. You might be having to get up in the morning and go to your corporate America job. And you know what? That's okay. As long as you're working towards the bigger picture, or you love, I mean, you are passionate about what you do. If you're passionate about what you do, then have at it. That's where you need to be, right? But what I found myself doing was giving up all my nights, my weekends, my holidays away from my family to create and build this empire for a job that essentially could just turn around and replace me the next day with no questions asked, right? I don't know if anybody else feeling that, just raise, yeah, right, Tara? I mean, it's a terrible place to be. So what happened to me, though, was I thought I was going to stay there forever. I thought that was my forever home. I had worked really, really hard, and I started feeling all the pressures of everybody telling me when I made the decision to leave, what are you doing? You've worked all your life to be here. This is exactly where you want to be. No job is forever anymore. You are right, Lisa. That is exactly right. You are not guaranteed what that is going to look like in the future. I've got a young lady, Shanna, that works with me out in the Nashville area, and boy, her story leads right into that. But let me just say, one day my life changed forever. And that day was my mom went out, just regular work day, right? 40 years old. I was 21 at the time, pregnant with my first daughter. And my mom left, had an accident that left her paralyzed forever. She lived 26 years paralyzed. It moved into our home. I raised 3 children. It took a toll on my marriage. It took a toll on my finances, my physical, my mental, my emotional well-being. It took a toll on every aspect of my life. I found myself looking at bankruptcy at one point in time, divorce. You know, I'm a cancer survivor. I mean, I had to go through all of that while taking care of this person that I love, my best friend. And so in that moment, I didn't realize, because, you know, I was 21. How many of you have ever said, I'll look at that tomorrow, and then you blink and you're 50? I mean, you're not 50. All of y'all aren't 50. I know that, but you blink and you're 30, right? Or you blink and you're 40, or you blink and you're 25, whatever that number is for you. That's what happened to me. I was like, you know, I'm just going to look at this later. I can put this in place later. I don't have time. I don't have time. We have time. We make time for the things that we make a priority. And this is the time for us to put these things in protecting our assets, protecting our lives, protecting our future generations. This is the time to make that a priority, right? So I found myself in the position of having no tools, like Toni shared with her background as well, no tools, no resources. And I was looking at putting my best friend, my mom, person who would be there through thick and thin for me, in a crappy nursing home facility at $8,000 a month. This was in 2017, guys, ladies. This was in 2017, $8,000 a month. You can imagine what it is now. If eggs are $10 a carton, right? And they used to be 99 cents. You can imagine what a nursing home facility costs now. And it was in that moment I realized how uneducated I was when it came to finances. Here I'd been running $100 million stores for corporate America, thinking I knew everything about finances and fitting into a budget, and I knew nothing about personal finances. So that's when I decided that I was going to take the opportunity to never let anybody come cross paths with me again, that I wasn't able to at least share this, you know, amazing industry and all the things that you can do in this industry to really protect yourselves. So I began looking for a company that allowed me to fight that battle in an industry that is very male dominated. Now, I'm not a manslayer, right? I love the guys. I think they play a very, very important role, but I do think that a lot of times we step out and we raise children and we let our careers sit on the back burner so that we can, you know, provide for our family and do all the other things that we need to do for our family. And we know we have a problem putting ourselves first, right? So it's important to remember that we need to make sure we're taken care of in that process as well. Too many times we're having conversations with people who are getting divorced and they don't even know where any of their assets are or how to pay the first bill. There's shame, there's guilt, there's a lot of things centered around that topic. And we want to kind of remove some of those, you know, the things that we think about when we think about money and think about the financial industry. So one of the things, or many of the things that, you know, people think about when they're thinking about planning for the future, because a lot of times I hear people say, there's no way you can be prepared for everything, Melissa. There's really only a few things you need to be prepared for. That is health issues, accidents, children, whether that's having them or whether it's putting them through school or going through some of the hardships that come along with raising people, right? Loss of loved ones. And then there's 2 that we're all going to go through, and that's death and taxes. Those are guaranteed for everybody. So there's really not that many things that we got to be prepared for. You can cut out all the other BS and just get down to those 6 main things, and you got it covered right there. But it can be very overwhelming for a lot of people. So what we want to do is I love this, because I don't know who we were talking to, Toni, but somebody said, called it the gatekeepers. And I love that, because if you've ever been in sales or you've ever tried to reach somebody and you have to go through that person who's kind of monitoring that, that's what I call the gatekeeper. Those are the people in the industry that want to keep you from all the resources. All right. So this could be anybody. I'm going to name a few that you're going to recognize. Buy term, invest the rest. Anybody know who said that? Anybody know who preaches that and has been preaching that since the 80s? Like the envelope system, the debt snowball. He talks about all that, right? That's a financial guru, right? But it's one way. It's buy term. Yes, Dave Ramsey. I came from Dave Ramsey country out in Nashville. So he lives right down in Franklin, Tennessee. Yeah, so we fall in line with about 70% of what Dave says, right? He's got some great techniques in there. I'm not dogging him out by any means, but there's not a one size shoe fits all. There's not one size fits all for anybody in this industry. So the fact that that's all you have to present to people is the wrong mentality. We have created with the Turning Point Group and with Wealth with Mel and what we're doing here with Toni with Women's Wealth Resurrection, we're creating a one-stop shop. We're going to put every single resource that you could possibly think about at your fingertips, right? So I'm committed alongside Toni and the rest of our amazing team to really bring you all the resources needed for helping you make more money, leverage your money to create what I like to call a money machine, right? That's where you leverage your money to make more money. So you've got that residual, or you've got that kind of that lifetime income, right? You're making money while you're sleeping, and to help you keep more money from taxation. Those are our main goals here. So we're going to go through, I think Toni mentioned a few of them. We're going to go through the habits of spending plans, how to create good habits, and even on fluctuating incomes. So if you're on here and you're in maybe network marketing, or you've just started a business and you have this fluctuating income, I work with people to set up spending plans who have that day in and day out. Debt management, insurance, infinite family banking, executive bonus plans for people who own a business, $1 million baby, legacy planning, and so much more. So I'm super excited to be on this journey with you. I know we probably want to open it up maybe for some questions, or, just seeing what it is that we can actually bring to the table and help you with. But don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. Ask any questions. You can find me at Wealth with Mel or on all the Women's Resurrection pages. We've got Facebook, Instagram, the website's coming up. We're going to be able to go to that and see all the providers that are going to be at your fingertips. So Toni, I'll open it back up with you and see if there's any questions or anything like that anybody has. But
so what I'm going to do, so you guys, so I can direct you and so everybody can have this information, I'm going to get this recording up. I'm going to bookend it and edit it. There's going to be a link that I will put in our group, our Facebook group, which is the Women's Wealth Resurrection. If you're not in there already, please join in there. I'm going to put a link in there. What you can do is fill out the information, and you're going to get this free ebook that Melissa created. And it's wonderful, but it walks you through some of the steps that we talked about today. And then also too, if you found this information useful, and this will get more robust as we go on. Again, you can't start without starting somewhere. And, again, we just want to be resources for women. I get a lot of the same questions that people come to me, what kind of entity should I file? They come to me with tax questions. What can I write off? And all this kind of stuff. And even though, like I said, I'm not the professional, I have done enough research. I'm a research hound to know, specific things, but we also have resources that I have a great CPA. He's a guy. I would rather find this. This is all about finding females dominating in their space so we can be women entrepreneurs to support other women entrepreneurs. So that is the biggest part about this. And you guys, if you have a job that you love, that doesn't mean you're not included. We just want to provide you resources on how, you can actually, put away legacy money. Building legacy money is a huge deal, and also scaling your business. It was so funny. I was just sitting down talking to one of our new business partners today, and just ask, here's how you can scale. What's your niche market? What is your message? And also, you guys, I can give you some freaking awesome tips on social media and how to create your niche, because the more niche you get, the more you're going to attract into what you're trying to do as far as business goes. So with that being said, I do want to open it up. Does anyone have any questions at all before we conclude this kickoff call?
While you're thinking about your questions, I left off a couple of stats I wanted to share with you because some people are going to pick up the number pieces of it, but this blew my mind. Only 4% of your Wall Street gurus, like this is your Wolf of Wall Street guys and women, right? They eat, sleep, and breathe the stock market. Only 4% are successful. There's a 96% fail rate. But yet that's what we're telling people to do every day when they sit down to sign up for a 401k. They don't even know what they're putting their money into. And as far as the 401k goes and stuff like that, not that I'm against that, if that's something that, you know, you really want to do, I just don't think that it's the only way. And I don't think that we should be educating people to max that out and go into this business partnership that they don't really understand. They're putting 100% of their money in things that they don't even know anything about because that's what's written in front of them. And they'll even automatically sign you up these days. If you don't pick anything that you want to put your money into, they'll automatically enroll you, which is absolutely absurd to me. But I want you to think about it in this sense. I'm going to go into business with you and I say, hey, Casey, let's go into business together. I'm going to give you so much money and you're going to match my money. And then you're like, okay, well, great. Let's do it, Melissa. And then you're like, but what are the other rules? And I'm like, oh, I'll tell you those later on down the road. So I'm just going to, you just put your money in this account and I'm going to put my money in and you're just going to match my money. And then later on, I'm going to tell you what the rules are. Okay. So 50 years go by and you've cultivated this account, right? This business, you've watered it, you've fertilized it, you gave it all your love, everything that you could possibly imagine. You've done it, you've sacrificed. And then I come knocking on your door and I'm like, hey, Casey, I'm ready to check in on, cash in on what is my take of that. And you're like, oh, okay, well, what is it, like 30%? I'm, oh no, I'm going to take 72% of it now. There are no rules for this beast, guys, ladies. I keep saying guys, it's just a thing with me. It's a Southern thing with me. Guys, ladies, you know what I'm talking about. There's no rules with this thing. It's like the government can change the rules on that at any point in time that they please. And when you get ready to go in retirement, if that's the only thing you have, it could be bad, very, very bad. So those are the types of things we're going to be bringing to the table and teaching you about. So I'm excited. Anyway, questions. I know somebody's got to have a question.
Yeah, Susie, you've got your hand raised. So do you want to unmute, please?
Oh, awesome.
Yes, ma'am. So, yeah, that was kind of one of my questions. So I find that just because the information is put in front of me doesn't necessarily mean that I can implement it properly. So is this type of like going to either just teach us how to do it, or we will be able to sit down with somebody and say, listen, here's what's in my bank account. Here's where I have this. Give me some advice. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yes, we will have a little bit of everything. So if somebody just wants the guidance on what would be my next steps, we will gladly provide that. But if somebody's like, I need you to help me navigate this, we can do a full financial analysis and direct you from there on what's going to be the best fit for you to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Great question. Anyone else have questions?
Yeah, Melissa and Toni. Hi, Lisa from Australia. We're recently looking at transitioning into retirement. So I'm the big 60 tomorrow. Yeah. So we've had some financial advice, and of course we're both aggressively salary sacrificing. Now, that's a great thing because it reduces your tax, but we've also invested in real estate, and here in Australia, the real estate market and interest rates have just gone through the roof. We're in a good place, but I do feel that there's other opportunities, and probably through doing this, where we can manage our funds better and maybe spread our finances elsewhere. So that's what I want to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. We are going to have people who can bring all of that to the table as well. So if there's some alternative type strategies that you want to learn about, we've got them. We have them.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's all I can
Thanks,
say.
Melissa.
Yeah,
Can I pack you up and bring you home?
I know, right? I know. Yeah, it gets a little difficult if I don't mean to sound vague in that answer, but directing anybody financially on exactly what those strategies are is against what I'm allowed to do on a in a group setting. However, I will tell you that there are going to be alternative strategies to your traditional 401k, Roth IRA, SEP IRA type things. There are going to be lots of other things we're going to bring to the table that
Awesome.
have been
Thank you.
around for many, many years. These things, when Toni mentioned earlier, there's no loopholes. There are no loopholes. The IRS has all this laid out in their book of codes that stands about 5 feet, 10 inches tall if you set it on the ground and stand it up. And the thing is, it's just like buying a vehicle, and if it weighs more than a certain pounds, then you can write that off in the year that you purchase it in for your business if you have certain criteria that are met, right? That's in that book. That's not a loophole. It's just nobody knows where to find them, and nobody knows how to implement them in their own, financial journey or where that fits in for their business. Yes, like a G-Wagon, Shanna. Carry around all our financial books in the back of the G-Wagon. So yeah, those are the things we're going to be sharing and bringing to the table so that you know exactly where to find those resources.
And you guys, we have so much more. So this is really because we're in Q1, and guess what happens in April? We really wanted to be, kind of call centric on this, because we know that, there are going to be a lot of people looking for, the tax shelters and stuff like that, because you can still participate in Q1 for last year. So there's so many different things that you can do. And just being conscientious, and you have to learn about it. It shouldn't be somebody telling you what you should do. You should be asking qualifying questions and qualifying that person ever before you ever do business with them. And so that's the biggest thing, is we're going to give you the tools on how to do that. If you're not happy with, things that are going on, the one thing is that anybody that is involved in your financial life, they have to be in alignment with you. And a lot of times they are not. So that's another big factor to consider.
That's very big. Yeah, that's a great point. Anything you do, we don't have time to waste.
No.
And so anything you do, you really got to cut out the naysayers and the energy drainers, and really bring people into your circle that are going to, encourage and support. And there's not enough women to women support out there right now to say, I work with women in the same industry, and people ask me all the time, they're like, well, she does the same thing you do, and you're, going to her event, or you're post sharing something. I'm like, yeah, because there's somebody out there that needs her personality more than they need mine. And the point is that there are plenty of people that need to be helped, and you got to be in front of the right person in order for it to make sense for you and for people to take action. Mm-hmm. They're not going to take action if they don't feel that with you. So why not support somebody else who can bring, a different spin on things to the table? And then, vice versa. Sometimes they pay me back, sometimes they don't, and that's okay. I'm not looking for anything in return. So I think it's so important to just support other women in business.
Absolutely. So I think we've caught up on all the questions. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We're right at the half-hour mark. So I want to thank everybody that was on the call. If you found value in this, please share our group. I'm going to go ahead and post where you can get Melissa's ebook. And then I cannot wait. So you guys, we will have these calls bi-monthly. We're not dedicated to a specific date or time yet. We will get that, because that's really important to be, completely duplicable when we do this kind of stuff, to lay everything out for you. And yes, and Elizabeth, this is open to any women. As we progress, in the next 2 to 4 weeks, you're going to see some different things that we're going to add, depending on what your needs are. So with that being said, I want to thank you everyone tonight. Melissa, thank you so much for all of your valuable information, and ladies, for all of the great questions. Really appreciate it. All right, you guys,
thank you.
Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies.